This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Huss and Reem with you for the next couple hours. The latest on the Winnipeg Jets after a humbling 6-1 defeat in Beantown last night against the very hungry Boston Bruins squad. Jets in Pittsburgh tomorrow. That's a noon Winnipeg time start. And then Sunday, 11 a.m., a little brunch game against the New York Rangers. We'll hear from Coach Scott Arniel and discuss last night's game. And Ken Wiebe is going to join us a little later on in the program. It's a big hockey weekend here in Winnipeg because it is the first PWHL game part of the takeover tour here in Winnipeg. I know Liz is all fired up. They sold out the event on Saturday at Next Door. Congratulations to her, and thanks to everyone supporting it. And the crowd looks to be awesome for the game on Sunday. So we're going to get ready for the PWHL takeover with Kenzie Lalonde, who's coming in, and she'll be a part of the event that Liz is putting on tomorrow night. And then we're going to hook up with our man, Nic Demski. A little off-season talk with the Blue Bomber receiver and a mention of an event he will be taking part in, along with the Turtle Man, Milt Stiegel, on Monday afternoon, a luncheon. We'll have details on how you can get in on that. Hacksaw will join us as well. And, of course, we'll hit the cool bet lines and get into some marbles to officially kick off the weekend. Tough one last night. I mean, the season was already on life support. That one, not officially a death blow, but certainly sort of felt like it. And I mean, it wasn't a terrible first period, but it seemed like as things started going poorly for the Winnipeg Jets, they just weren't able to steady themselves. And listen, credit where credit is due. I refer to Boston as a hungry team. They were in the blue paint. They were getting on pucks. They were doing a heck of a lot better in the dirty areas than the Winnipeg Jets did. Although I thought Jeremy Swayman played a real strong game. I mean, Gabriel Velarde had some ridiculous chances and was playing his ass off last night. I got no problem with Gabe's performance last night, other than he was unable to bulge the twine. So we'll get Remis's thoughts on that. We'll hear from Scott Arniel coming up in just a minute. Do want to thank all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Special thanks to Dermot and the great people at Chud's Power Sports, who were such awesome hosts of us yesterday as we went up to Gimli in advance of the town takeover. And man, I'll give you the credit to the Jet staff. I mean, that is a really, really well done first-class event. Unfortunately, for all the work that went into it, they didn't have a great game to watch. Vibes probably not very high during the third period, wherever you were watching the game last night. But certainly a great community initiative to bring people together and kind of an outreach to the gang out in the Interlake. So thanks to the folks at Chud's as well, in particular for their hospitality yesterday. Of course, I want to thank our friends at CoolBet, Princess Auto, the gang over at Clean Line, plumbing, heating, and electrical. The Clean Line lines got shaken up a few times yesterday, as Scott Arniel will tell us in a minute. The Winnipeg Jets, Uptown Alley, Roley's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, and, of course, Manitoba Battery, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, and our friends at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. Welcome to everybody in chat. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And all you podcast listeners making us a part of your day. Let's get Remis in here and get the show on the road. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm ready for the weekend, Huss. Nice that it's here. Snow's melting, warming up, just in time for playoff hockey. But more and more, the odds are, showing the Jets will not be part of that this season. Coming to reality here as the Money Puck has them 4.4%. But personally, I'm good. We had a nice time yesterday in Gimli. Good driving out, seeing Germinator and everyone at Chud's. Treated us very well. They're doing the show in front of some pretty cool equipment there, all the ATVs and snowmobiles, and ready to be here. We got a fun one coming up today.
In addition to the hospitality of the Chuds people, highlight of the entire day were those burgers from Carlos Cucina. I was talking about them all last night with everyone. I don't know whether that Jets takeover burger was just for yesterday or the weekend, but if you are in the area, jump on that. It was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal, not something that we would describe the Jets' performance last night. And like, I don't know, when you look at the score, Remo, 6-1, I mean, that is pretty much getting pumped. Boston was definitely the better team, and I think deserved it. But what was a little concerning, and this could be, unfortunately, I think for Jet fans, a sign of what's to come, is that you sort of felt the life come out of the team. A few bad things happened. Obviously, Hellebuyck didn't have a great night. There was that mishap behind the net that went in, and they had a real tough time steadying themselves and getting back into the game. And, we'll hear from Scott O'Neill in a minute. When you get down and that compete level wanes, that's the recipe to lose by 5 goals in the NHL.
Yeah, and the first half of the game was pretty even. The first goal that they scored is bad giveaway in their own end, and that was a shot on the ground that goes 5-hole on Hellebuyck, and it seemed to be going okay until the giveaway behind the net by Hellebuyck, and then it was 2-0, and you thought it was going to be tough for the Jets to come back, and a bit of a fluker on that third goal, a weird bounce. And you are looking at the deserve to win meter. I don't know if you agree with this or not on Money Puck. They have the Jets at 57.4%.
Last night?
Yeah, last night. That's what they have. And, you had that Velarde chance, and, just looking at goaltending, they have Hellebuyck for goals saved above expected, Huss, minus 3.46.
Wow.
So wasn't a great game for him, wasn't a great game, for the team defensively. I mentioned the turnover leading to that first goal. You can't just be giving the puck to David Pasternak in your own end. Like that's not a recipe for success. But maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought, but it doesn't matter. They need wins. The teams around them are all losing. And again, they don't make up any ground. LA gets the win in the shootout or overtime.
The loss.
They get the single point. So look, playoffs not in the cards. I definitely think it was there. The door's been left open, but again and again, can't walk through it. The top line, that's the only line that's been able to score all year, so you don't want to rep on them too bad, but wasn't their night last night, Huss. So disappointing, but this is kind of what they've been all year. They had a cushy 8-game homestand. You got past Chicago, barely, Vancouver, barely, who's been getting pumped by everyone. And you have to go out on the road and play a Boston team that's been dominant at home. We talked about that yesterday with Pete Blackburn. Yeah. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well for the Jets.
26 wins on home ice for the Boston Bruins right now. I mean, they have been an absolute juggernaut at the TD Garden, and they were full marks for it. What was the goals save above expected number for Swayman?
Swayman, well, I'm sure it was like 1 on that Velarde post to post, but his was 1.97 goals saved above expected. So, if you have the Sean Reynolds stat, the Rennie stat, who was the better goaltender? Swayman wins that one, and the team who had the better goaltender won yesterday. So, they have practicing today. Like, that was a tough one.
That Hellebuyck number of minus 3.4, would have, and listen, he hasn't had anywhere close to the season that, he had in the past. But I would have to think that that's as ugly a number. Like, we don't really look at that each and every game for Hellebuyck, but that's got to be one of the toughest nights he's had. And listen, don't entirely understand how they put all that together. And I have sometimes some skepticism as to how the data is collected and put together. But listen, we're not far off in last night in that it was a tough night for Helly, and Jeremy Swayman was phenomenal. I mean, we can talk about that Gabriel Velarde play, the post-to-post blocker save. Incredible. And yes, you're right. That was one. I mean, we'll just give him a one of the goal saved above expected. But there were some other opportunities with Gabe down low. At one point, he sort of got pushed into the netminder, but just wasn't able to get the puck on. And then you look at the goals in and around that went in on Hellebuck. I mean, there was just a lot of traffic. I mean, the Bruins were, I thought, a lot more committed to doing what they needed to down low in the dirty areas, and they ended up turning into goals. Now, I mean, the last one, the sixth goal, I mean, that's probably one of the minus 3.4 on him. At that point, the game was pretty much a write-off. But, as we'll hear from Scott O'Neill in a minute, I think this season's sort of taken a mental toll on everyone. And, the reality of where they are, the disappointment of not getting the 2 points against Nashville, out for a tough 3-4. The way the team has responded to the adversity they've been thrown. Maybe it's just there's been so much, and at a certain point there's a breaking point. But it sort of felt like that last night. And to be honest, in the third period, it looked like a team that knew that they weren't winning last night, and they probably can start making plans for the 17th of April.
Yeah, you look at the team's road record in the last 28 games, has 7, 16, and 5, and they have 9 of the final 14 on the road. Yeah, I think it's coming to reality. Hey, this is ultimate disappointing season. That losing streak was the killer. I think there's some self-inflicted wounds when you're going to look back on the season in terms of player usage, but disappointing. And I'm curious how they're going to try to turn around next season. We have seen some bright spots here. Elias Salomonsson with another point. An assist there, a tip by Jonathan Taves, and he's got on the score sheet. Bill A's got 4 points now. It makes you wonder, how much of help he could have been if he was put into the lineup a bit earlier. And Brad Lambert got a bit of a bump up to the Lowry line, and Morgan Barron, who've been, wanted to see get some more ice time. He's now on the third line, and finally they moved the Taves-Nyquist line, becomes the fourth line. So there's some stuff to watch here. I think Elias, look back on the bright spots of the season again, like Logan Stanley's emergence before getting traded, and Elias Salomonsson coming up, and Velarde's career year we mentioned earlier this week, and just the incredible points here from Scheifele and Connor, but not enough, to get into the playoffs. And Mark Scheifele, top 10 in the league in scoring.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the rest of the landscape last night, not that it mattered a lot with the Jets losing in regulation, but the Predators got a big home win against the Kraken. They tie Seattle, and that would have been for the final spot, but the LA Kings, as we mentioned, got a point in a shootout against the Philadelphia Flyers, so they actually move 1 point up. The Sharks don't get anything last night. Buffalo, we're going to talk about Buffalo in a minute. Back-to-back shutouts, from Vegas now to San Jose. And the goaltending was phenomenal. At one point in that game, it was 4-0 Sabres, and the shots were 18-9 Sharks. Goaltending was also a huge issue in Vegas last night. The Knights get shut out by the Mammoth. Goals on 3 of the first 3 shots. The game was barely started, and it was essentially over, and the Knights have been in a real funk as well. The Oilers now lose to the Panthers last night, Remo, and it's just wild. I was just talking with Dusty on the Lock Shop about this. The Ottawa Senators are probably going to miss the playoffs in the East. They are 4 out of the wild card right now. And by the way, the Bones Brigade, Columbus does it again. They're now in third place in the Metropolitan Division. Islanders outside of the playoffs. But Ottawa's 5 back of a wild card right now. Their 79 points would have them in first place in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, looking at these numbers right now, it's actually crazy that the Flyers have more points than the Oilers and the Golden Knights. That is bizarre. So, yeah, Ottawa could finish with 99 points and be out of a playoff spot. The Pacific Division, it's terrible. Like the Utah is going to be fourth in the Central, and that's going to be good enough to be first in the Pacific. And then, you're going to get a more favorable matchup if you're fourth in the Central than if you finish second. So that's our criticism with the playoff. It's a different division every year, and this year it's the West that is way below the East, as you have all these teams. Ottawa, plus 18 goal differential out of the playoffs. That's tough when you have a really good season, way better than half the teams in the league, and you can't get in a playoff spot because you're in a tougher conference. So the East, much better. Still a lot of games to go, but we've seen some incredible winning streaks here. Columbus on a huge stretch here, 7-0-3 in their last 10, and Buffalo Sabres as well, 9-1 in their last 10 on a 3-game win streak. And the West, we're like, who wants this final spot? Everyone's losing. Sharks, we talked about them. They're a one-man team. Nashville, they did win yesterday. Seattle over Seattle, who they're chasing, and the Kings. They had the lead and then blew it and lost in extra time to the Flyers.
No one really seems to want it right now in the West. Someone's going to get that spot. As of today, the Jets made up no ground and obviously lost some on Nashville and on LA. But the Kings at 72 points have that final wild card. Kraken and Predators both 1 point back at 71. And the Sharks 2 points back at 70 with a game in hand. So it really seems like it's sort of a 4-horse race. After that comes the Winnipeg Jets, who are at 67 points. And after a night like last night, we kind of have to take a look at the reverse standings right now, Remis. And, of course, the Vancouver Canucks, a lock for 32nd. They've got 50 points. But Calgary at 61. Now the Rangers, the Blackhawks got a win over the Wild last night. They moved to 64. The Blues are at 65. And then the Jets at 67. So the Jets still in that bottom 6 group. And then you got 7 teams between 70 and 72 points right now. So it would be nice to see the Blues or Blackhawks, maybe the Rangers, go on a little bit of a heater. And listen, at the pace the Jets are going at, they're poised to be a definite player when it comes to the draft lottery and a potential move up. But at worst case, a pick probably in the top 8 if things stayed the way they are right now. Let's hear from the coach, Scott Arniel. Listen, we've heard Arnie after some tough losses. This one, a couple things he liked early, but obviously they came off of it. Here's what the Jets head coach had to say on the game.
Suggests it was maybe one-sided, but the game, at least for sure, the first 2/3 of that game didn't really feel like it was one-sided at all.
Yeah, I think I liked our first period. Execution started to deteriorate after that. I thought that, we had plays to make, whether that was breakouts, whether that was entries. We had some odd man looks on the power play. Our execution wasn't real good, and then then we, as the game went on, as it got to 3-0, it was still a game, but at the end of the day, we just, we didn't execute, and then our compete level dropped. And as soon as you drop your compete level against a team like that, that's the end result you're going to get.
Yeah, is that kind of a team maybe smelling blood a bit in the third with their home crowd behind them and all that?
Well, it is. I know their record here at home, they're extremely tough in this building, but at the end of the day, we were creating opportunities. We were getting ourselves in position to take advantage of maybe get a goal to make that 3-1 earlier than what it was, and get ourselves back in the game and get them back on their heels. But it just, like I said, our execution and our compete both of those things dropped off as the game went on, which is 2 of the most important things you have to do.
Any rhyme or reason for the compete part of it? Because it seems like even when maybe things haven't gone well this year, you've done a pretty good job of managing that and not allowing things to snowball. Is that a bit of maybe feeling sorry for themselves?
I don't know what the answer exactly. I just know that we haven't done that. I haven't seen that since the break and coming out of the break. And to me, that's just that's something that, with coaches, with our leadership group, we just got to focus and make sure that doesn't happen again. That you never know in these games. You stay in these games, and we've done it before where we've been able to get them to overtime and whatever whatever we have to do. I just that's a one-off hopefully, because we got to turn around. We got 2 back-to-back afternoon games, 3 and 4 nights. So it's no time to dwell. We got to get focused again now on Pittsburgh.
There's Scott Arniel, and obviously at the end, putting on a brave face. They got a couple more games on this road trip. They'll go in looking to win, but it has to be concerning, and you could feel sort of the resignation almost of Arnie in that when he talked about just they didn't have that compete level. And listen, we've heard the coach react to losses in very different ways. He's dropped embarrassing a couple times. He's been hot. Other times has maybe dialed it down a little bit. This was just sort of matter of fact saying, hey, we got in a tough spot, and then we lost our compete level. And that is something that is a real problem for any team playing at the highest level of their sport.
Yeah, you drop off for a second, a team like Boston is going to pounce all over you, and they did last night to the tune of 6-1. So, I think reality setting in, no playoffs this year, as hard as they've been trying to give themselves the opportunity, in the last week and, 2 weeks during that homestand. And again, you look at the losses to teams in the bottom like the Rangers and the Ducks, could have put yourself in a better position. They were not able to. And, just too many of those lapses this year. And it's got to be deflating, when you're down 3-0 and your team that's struggled to score all year and you're playing, at the Boston in their barn where they've been so good this year. You feel like you're up against it, and, they kind of played like it there toward the end of the game.
Here's a little bit more from Arnie. Mike was asking him after the game about, some of the line shakeup that we saw as the game went on.
Yeah, I was just trying to get some kind of spark, try and change things up. And, there's some things that you like. There's some things that guys did that just, at the end of the day, it's still, as the game got away, it's 3 and 4 nights, one to get everybody on the ice, everybody playing, so that, we're fresh when it comes to Pittsburgh on Saturday.
Yeah. Connor Hellebuyck had maybe his best game of the year just last Saturday, but he'd probably say a couple of those he'd like back. I just put him in the category of a lot of tough nights for a lot of guys.
Yeah, that was just, I think that was just one of those ones where, we all, the areas when, the team in front of him starts to struggle, then it puts an awful lot of pressure on him. And that's a crazy bounce on that, that second one. And that kind of gets him, gets the whole sort of group off kilter a little bit on that bounce. So, no, at the end of the day, the first period, he was rock solid. That PK, he was rock solid. And just unfortunate we weren't better in front of him.
Yeah, well, no time for the Jets to sit around and feel sorry for themselves. They're going up against a team that has exceeded everybody's expectations this year, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who sit in second right now in the Met division. That game going tomorrow. Listen, it wasn't all terrible last night. There were some great chances. I mentioned Gabriel Lardy, I thought, had some real juice last night. Didn't get a ton from Scheifele and Connor, and they played a ton. Both 21, 22 minutes last night. But there was some good things from the young players. And we've talked a lot about what can the Jets get out of this final stretch to the end of the regular season. It's experience, seasoning, and opportunity for the likes of Brad Lambert and Elias Salomonsson. Both figured in on the score sheet on the Jet goal. Here's what Brad Lambert had to say about last night's game.
I thought we had quite a few chances in the first period. Obviously, their goalie made some good saves. We got a couple unlucky bounces and, just weren't able to bury it.
One thing we maybe haven't seen a lot from the Jets this year is the snowball effect where things start to compound. But did you feel like once that game maybe started to get away that it really got away from you?
Obviously, looking at the score, it got away, but, I feel like I don't think it was a 6-1 game. I feel like we had our fair share of chances as well, and, just weren't able to capitalize on those. And, obviously they got a couple bounces, and then, like you said, it kind of snowballed from there.
2 straight games now that you guys have scored a power play goal. I guess that's a positive development, right? Because the power play can certainly be a boost.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, it's good to have success on the special teams, but I think we'll review what we have to review from this game and move on to Pittsburgh.
Lambert, I think, is he's improving right now, and there's playing with Morgan Barron, the speed that they have on that line. There's something there. He had 12-16 last night ice time, and then of course I'll ask some on both of the young players had assists on Jonathan Taves' lone goal of the game. 21-21 for Elias and an assist on the game. We're going to have much more on this when Ken joins us coming up in a bit. But coming up in just a couple of moments, we'll get ready for the PWHL Takeover Tour with TSN's Kenzie Lalonde on WST.
Hey, Bob, you hear the news?
I can't listen to the news, Daryl.
This is different.
Oh, it's so negative.
Not this time. Manitoba's got these new jobs agreements. And when the government builds things like new schools and hospitals, they'll hire Manitoba workers first.
Really?
Creating good jobs with union standards and more apprenticeships for Manitobans. And we'll get rid of those out-of-province license plates on job sites.
Keeping our money working for Manitobans, eh?
You betcha.
Well, that's how it should work.
I knew you'd like it.
A message from Manitoba's Building Trades and Federation of Labor.
Spring into good times at Uptown Alley and eat, drink, and play at the most fun spot in the city. You'll enjoy 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, a state-of-the-art arcade, and good times playing laser tag as well. And in addition, Uptown Alley features incredible food and drink options at their bistro. Pop down to Uptown Alley with your group or make it a party. It's the best place in Winnipeg for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults, and an amazing spot for corporate events where you just simply pick your activities, any of your add-ons, what you'd like to eat, and the Uptown Alley staff takes care of everything else. For more information, go to uptownalley.ca, book a lane at 488-0000, or pop down and see him at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Got a move coming up? Lean on our friends and longtime sponsors at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving and storage in Manitoba. Now into their 7th decade with over 60 years of experience, family owned and operated. Head over to their website at rollys.com to find out all about their services serving Winnipeg and southern Manitoba. In the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then simply let them know when you're moving, where you're moving to, and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly and get you a great quote to get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now for over 60 years in Winnipeg. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more and request an estimate today on your next move at rollys.com. Has it been a minute since you've been to the dentist? If it is, our pal Doc Harry and the wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center would love to see you. They've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans in St. Vital for years, and have now moved into a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building. They'll handle customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to surgeries like dental implants. Dr. Terry and the gang can absolutely do it all. We'll do it with a smile on their face and make your smile look even better than it's ever been. Go to stvitaldental.ca online to make an appointment. Pop into St. Vital Dental, get that girl taken care of, and tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. All right, we're hoping to hook up with Kenzie Lalonde. We're having a little bit of an issue as we try to make the call because she's, of course, is in transit coming here for the event tomorrow at Next Door, and of course the big PWHL takeover game on Saturday. This coming up segment is a presentation of Prairie Toyota dealers. If you're looking to dominate off the ice as much as you're on it, check out the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. Visit shoptoyota.ca on your Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May.
Sorry, I'm trying to get a hold of her, Huss. And the way that I do it is not currently working. So
Technical difficulties today, live on the program. We haven't done a phoner in a little while. And CTO is having an issue with getting Kenzie on the phone. I certainly hope we'll be able to get her. But this game coming up on Sunday is going to be just awesome for Winnipeg and certainly the female hockey community, but also women in sport. And I know Liz is she's going to join us on Monday to kind of recap the entire weekend and the game on Sunday night. The game itself is going to feature, two of the top Canadian teams, the Ottawa Charge and the Montreal Victoire. If you look at the standings right now in the PWHL, it is tight. It is a three-way tie between the Minnesota Frost, Montreal Victoire, and Boston Fleet. And then you got Toronto and Ottawa in 4th and 5th. So it's Montreal and Ottawa that'll be playing. Don't believe Marie-Philippe Poulin is back on the ice, which is, obviously unfortunate. But, some other stars, including some ones with local flair. Jocelyn The Rock, who is a Manitoba hockey legend, coming off another appearance in the Olympic Games. She's now with the Ottawa Charge. And we'll also get to see Katie Taven, who's got a really interesting story. We've heard from her before on the program, and that kind of finished up and thought that, her hockey playing days were done. And now an opportunity in the PWHL has, given, her entire hockey career a whole new life. And then obviously bring to the Olympics as well. So we're going to see the best of the best when it comes to women's hockey. Go at it. And Remis, the other great thing about this is just how well it has been received. I'm not sure that the game is entirely sold out, but it is going to be a massive crowd. And this is something that PWHL has been experiencing and enjoying pretty much everywhere they've gone on the takeover tour over the last couple of years. Let's see if we can get Kenzie.
Yeah, this seemed to be. Here she is.
Hello.
Hey, Kenzie, it's Andrew at Winnipeg Sports Talk. Sorry about that. How are you?
That's okay. Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we certainly can. We were just sort of brushing up while Remis figured out how to call you. The standings and get into the excitement about this PWHL takeover tour coming to Winnipeg. You've been with the league calling games both with the Sens and the Habs and, of course, the PWHL. This takeover tour has been really well received everywhere it's been. And from all accounts, we're going to have a heck of a weekend with the league coming here on Sunday.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been a part of a handful of these takeover tour games, and whenever you get to, bring the circus to town, if you will, and showcase the PWHL in communities across Canada, it's so powerful. Like, it's palpable when you get into the rink and you see the demographic that comes out to support these women and are intrigued into the game. I mean, the crowds are the most inclusive crowds I've seen in years at a hockey game. You've got young girls screaming at the top of their lungs, and it's a party. That's how I would describe what these takeover tour games are like. And we had the great chance of covering the one in Halifax earlier on at the start of the year. And I have a feeling it's going to be just like that, like packed, great energy, a loud crowd, and that really fuels the athletes as well at a time when you're in a playoff push. So this crowd, this energy might just be what these two teams need right now in their final push for the playoffs. And Winnipeg's got a great history of supporting events, but also women's hockey. I mean, the 2007 World Championships here in Winnipeg and Selkirk all raised the bar really for that event. And it's still, talking to people in Hockey Canada, one of the best women's events that's happened anywhere. But, it was so big then because sort of it was the World Championships and the Olympics was the only chance we could see
the best on the best of the best. Now this league it's just completely changed the landscape for women's hockey in the country and really in North America and the world as well, as the top European players get into the league.
It's the best thing that's happened to the game, without a doubt. Since I
Kenzie,
would
still
say
there?
the introduction. Yep, can you hear me okay?
I think we just lost her. Tough on the thing.
No.
Well, the one thing I will say, Kenzie,
Can you hear me
turned
now?
into one of the top young play-by-play voices in hockey, not
Hello?
women's hockey. But she's also coming in as a big supportive thing. Yeah, I've got you a little bit better now. I was just saying, Kenz, just how much this league has done to grow the game, but also give opportunities to these top players to play outside of the national team. And we talked about Katie Tabin, who's from Winnipeg. She'll be in the game on the blue line for Montreal on Sunday. I mean, she thought her playing career was over, and now Olympian and playing in pro. I mean, that's exactly what this sport and the women of the PWHL needed. And man, it just seems to be growing and making such an impact both in the stands, but also for the players themselves.
Katie Tabin is a great story. I think she's an example of what this league can do for an athlete. How it opened the doors for her, for the Olympic team, of course, but how she is the perfect style of player for this game, how she's a key piece to Montreal's blue line, and she came from the Premier Hockey Federation system. I think she is such an important piece to the big picture of what makes the PWHL so successful. It's best on best. You have longtime national team players. You have athletes that have won an Isabel Cup in the PHF, and you have elite Europeans. And to your point, you spoke earlier about how the 2007 Women's Worlds was a key marquee event in Winnipeg. And now what's so exciting is post-Olympics, post a World Championship, fans can go see these women on a regular basis. So we've already seen an increase in ticket sales after the Olympics. The New York Sirens had their best fan turnout at their home game after the Winter Olympics, and that's a market that struggles a little bit with the crowd. So they're a prime example of how this league is now being accessible on a daily basis, and fans are getting engaged. And so anytime you can bring this league to towns across Canada, the United States, to keep growing the game, and it's just so exciting. And on a nightly basis, you get to see who's the best right now. And that will always be the conversation moving forward with how Olympic teams are being selected. It's who's the best right now, and fans get to see that on a daily basis.
Kenzie, I want to get your thoughts on maybe some info on the teams that'll be playing. We mentioned Katie Tabin, a local player who will be in it. Can't not single out Jocelyn The Rock, what a special event this is going to be for her to be able to come back just down the road from St. Anne, where she grew up, being such a mainstay on our national team for basically 2 decades and coming off another Olympic performance.
Oh my God. You think of what hasn't this woman done? She's 37 years old. She's got Olympic gold. She's got world gold. She is a pillar of this program and has been a part of the recent change, the winning program. And so for her to get to go home and play her first pro game, I mean, I haven't had a chance to speak with her yet, but I have a feeling this will probably be her most meaningful hockey game she's ever played in, because she gets to come home. And I saw a great photo of her at the airport with some of her nieces and nephews. So you could tell she's probably already getting that home cooking meal, but she'll be on the Ottawa Charge team. And they've struggled a little bit since coming off the Winter Olympic break. So they'll look to get back into their winning form. And then for the Montreal Victoire, they're one of the hottest teams right now in the PWHL. They're tied for first, led by Marie-Philippe Poulin and company. However, right now Montreal's got the injury bug. So Poulin did not play last game. Erin Ambrose, Olympic defender, is not in the lineup. She's dealing with injury. So it'll be interesting to see what roster Montreal has healthy for this game. But nonetheless, Montreal's the team to beat right now in the PWHL. And so Ottawa will have a good crack at that. And maybe some home cooking for Jocelyn can help maybe upset the Victoire, and they can come out with the win over Montreal on Sunday.
Well, and listen, big game for Montreal as well as they jockey for first place. Through 20 games, you've got 3 teams in a dead heat at the top of the league at 39, and Ottawa in chase mode in 5th place right now. And of course, the league now with 2 new teams that have come in and just continues to grow. It's going to be a great weekend. I know Liz is so excited. A sold-out event, talking women's hockey and women's in sport tomorrow leading into the game, and that should be just an amazing atmosphere as the takeover tour has been everywhere they've gone and finally gets here to Winnipeg. Kenzie, travel safely. Have a great weekend in Winnipeg. Can't wait to see you, the Charge, and the Victoire lighted up at Canada Life Centre on Sunday.
Thanks so much, guys. I can't wait.
Good stuff. We'll see you here in the Peg. There's Kenzie Lalonde of TSN. Again, Sunday is the PWHL Takeover Tour. It looks packed. If you haven't had any tickets, get to Ticketmaster. See if we can squeeze a few more butts in the seats. All right, Ken Wiebe coming up in a little bit. But right now, let's welcome in for a little off-season chat and info about a great charity event coming up on Monday. It's time to bring in back to the show Nic Demski of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bomber season is just around the corner, and coming up on Monday, Nic Demski and Milt Stiegler are going to be part of a United Way event at lunch called Huddling for Youth. We'll let you know on how you can attend that in a minute, but let's bring in the hometown hero himself, Nic Demski. He's probably been pretty busy on daddy duty this offseason. What's going on, Nick? How are you?
Not bad, yeah. I mean, I'm good. Yeah, daddy duty for sure is in full force, but we actually just got our first full night of sleep, so that was awesome. Yeah.
What were the celebrations like of mom and dad after knowing that you had a full night's sleep for the first time for the littlest one?
Yeah, my girl rolled over, checked the monitor, was making sure that, breathing was still happening. She was a little bit shocked, but it was actually just her birthday yesterday, so we're just calling it his birthday present to her.
Once you go from 1 to 2, you're doing man defense now. If there's one more, it'll be a full zone. But it must be so much fun. I mean, just a baby, and the other one's what, 2.5?
Yeah, just over 2.5. And then, this little guy, he'll be 6 months on the 8th next month. So, yeah, it's wild. It's wild times. But, yeah, it keeps it interesting. It keeps it a lot of fun. I mean, my little girl is just a ball of energy, and this guy's just, learning new tricks. It feels like, it seems like I'm calling him a dog, but just learning new things as he goes. And, yeah, it's sweet just to see them evolve into their own little human beings.
How different is the Nic Demski offseason now as opposed to 4 or 5 years ago before the family grew?
Yeah, a lot different. I mean, I always make the joke like there really is no off season. So, but again, I mean, I love it. I'm always in the community, and my girl's good about that as well, and she takes being a mother with pride. So she holds it down at home, and whenever I'm at home, I mean, it's straight daddy duty. So it's never ending, but it's definitely a rewarding life. So I'm just happy to be living it.
Well, of course, I mean, for people on the podcast, I see the locker room behind you. The grind never stops. How's the off-season training going for the upcoming year?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, I've been here. Just working. It's nice, obviously, to be from here and in the backyard. I can come to the stadium every day. We got people here working us out and all that good stuff, and making sure the body feels good. So I'm just making sure that I'm doing my part, so I can give my full effort to this team.
Hey,
exciting what we've been building here. So we just want to keep it going.
What did you think about the work that the organization and Kyle Walters did in the offseason? A pretty aggressive period of free agency. I imagine some excitement in the group chat looking ahead to training camp.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's pumped. I mean, you talk to the guys who've been here, who signed back, they're pumped up. You talk to the new guys who just signed here, they're pumped up to get in here and start working. So it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, I think after the year that we had last year, we needed some new energy in here, and the front office definitely went out and got that. So I'm excited to get this thing going.
It was such a different year, and I mean, listen, it speaks to the success and the standard that the Blue Bombers and this team had really put together dating back to 2019, that when you don't go to the Grey Cup, it's all of a sudden like, what's wrong with the Bombers? But at the same point, I mean, that is something that happens to a championship level teams. And certainly from the guys that we've talked to, both on the air and behind the scenes, there's not as much unfinished business, but looking forward to, begin the journey and the challenge of getting back to reminding people who the team is and where the toughest place in the league to play is.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you know what? We got so much support and all the fans behind us, and even the standard that we hold ourselves to. We hold ourselves to a very high, we hold ourselves to a very high standard, and just, we want to do everything possible in order to win and become victorious. So, the fact that, it's an off year, still making it to the playoffs, I think that speaks volumes to the type of, leaders we have in this room and the type of characters we have in this room as well. So, we want to do everything we can to get back to where we feel like we belong. And, I think everybody's bought into that.
Nic Demski with us from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I was thinking about, I was going to ask you about the new additions to the wide receiver room. Do you know and do you pay attention as much to what the guys on other teams are doing? Or, if we asked you about the guys that you know the most, is it more DBs and the defensive players that you're going up to and probably studying tape every week?
Yeah, you know what? I know. Like, I watch a lot of film. I watch a lot of film of like other teams, obviously, who we're getting ready to play with. But also, I like to take some stuff from other teams as well, and like other players, and kind of add it to my game as well. So, I definitely know who Tim is. We did a trip 2 years ago to the Philippines, and I mean, I knew who he was before that, but then, you talk to him and get to know him on a personal level, and it's like, that's the type of guy that you want to work with and grind with and go to war with. So I really liked him. I've seen Tommy, just, him being on Saskatchewan and us crossing over as much as we have. I knew about him. I even knew about him when he was on Toronto. So those two guys coming here into the receiver room, I think that's great additions. And then, we got a bunch of young guys that are kind of ready to take that next step as well. So I'm really excited about the receiving core. I think we're going to do some damage, and I think we're going to come together and play some good football.
While we're just talking about a couple of the additions, I mean, you can never forget about the big boys up front. Stanley Bryant's a legend, the best to ever do it. But how about bringing in Broxton from BC and what that will do, both for the quarterback position, the running game, but also giving Zach a little bit more time to be ready to hit you on the fly.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. As long as number 8 feels comfortable back there, a lot of damage can be done. So, obviously you got to do whatever you can to protect him. And, I think it'll be a great thing for a guy like that to come in. I mean, I met him when he came in here. He seemed like he's ready to go. He's excited. He seems like a great guy. So yeah, I'm excited to work with him. Obviously, I know what he can do on the field. So, time to go to work.
Now, Nic, we mentioned this event on Monday that we'll give details with in just a second, but still doing a lot in the community. Doing some volunteering, some coaching. Tell us, outside of daddy duty and working with the Bombers, what you've been up to.
Yeah, so yeah, I do a lot of work with the Bombers, of course. I was just visited, I think 6 different schools, doing a financial literacy program with Access Credit Union. So that was a lot of fun. I've been running some football camps, or I should say football one-day camps, I should say. So I have another one tomorrow at Elmwood High School. But yeah, I put in a lot of work volunteering with Recruit Ready. I mean, I think that's kind of like my main passion in the off season, just coaching with these kids. And, we try to get the best kids in high school in Winnipeg and even grade 8s. My team's mainly grade 8s and grade 9s. And, we come together and develop the kids, and then we take a group of them down south and compete in different tournaments. So we actually won a trophy this year, so that was pretty sweet. We have 2 more tournaments, so we actually go to Omaha, Nebraska next weekend, compete in a big tournament out there. And so it's a bunch of fun. It's like a passion project to me, and I just love to see this next generation of athletes get better in the city.
Is it tackle or is it flag? How does it differentiate from, the game that the kids are playing, in the regular season?
Yeah, so it's 7-on-7 touch. So it's kind of like pass skelly, I guess you could say. So there's 5 receivers and a quarterback, and then there's 7 defenders. So all it is touch. You just pass the ball. You can run a little bit here and there, but it's a lot of passing. And I mean, that's kind of something, growing up in Winnipeg that I felt like I missed. I mean, I was kind of a running back growing up, but I never really got taught the pass game on another level, route depths and releases and stuff like that, and like seeing the play as a big picture. So that's kind of the thing that I try passing down. We do a lot of film study as well, so for them just to see the how football is played as an art, I like to say, and the big picture of it. I just try to give them tips and keys along the way.
Well, I mean, listen, it's awesome to see what you're doing in the community. And, a big part of that is, being a part of events, and that yourself and Bomber legend Milt Stegall are going to be here for the Huddling for Youth community lunch to support Huddle Here for Youth. It is on Monday at the Manitoba Museum at 90 Rupert Street. It's going to go from noon until 1:30. And registration starts at 11:30 a.m. There is a QR code if you're with us on YouTube, but Remo will throw in the website if you want to pick up tickets in the chat, as well as in the description of today's YouTube show, as well as the podcast if you want to support it. And listen, it's no surprise that you're involved, Nick. You've done so many things for United Way and other charities. But it's got to be fun to get together with the Turtle Man, and Milt Stegall makes this one a little special, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. I mean, my mom's friend, Celeste McKay, she's one helping put this on with United Way, and they've done a wonderful job. We met a couple of times just to talk about how this is going to go. And, when she was saying the possibility of bringing Milt on, it's like, I've been watching Milt since I was a young guy watching watching football. So, just to do an event like this, it's kind of like a full circle moment. I was a fan of Milt as I was growing up, and now I get to host an event with him. It's pretty crazy. So, I'm excited for it. He brings a lot of energy to the table too. And
always
something like this. Yeah, exactly. For something like this is such a good cause. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Again, the luncheon in support of the United Way Huddling for Youth with Nic Demski and Milt Stegall is Monday at noon. Link in the description for tickets. Get out there, see the fellas, and support a great cause. Princess Auto is a proud sponsor of Winnipeg Sports Talk, in a lot of ways synonymous with Winnipeg. Headquartered here in the Peg, founded here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. So while we wait for the Bombers to kick off, get ready for spring. Those projects on your list with great deals throughout the month waiting for you at your local Princess Auto, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West in the city, out in Brandon. And you can always shop online 24 hours a day at princessauto.com. Spring is just around the corner, and our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's power sports superstar, are ready to get this snow out of here. But before we do that, great end-of-season deals on sleds and snowmobiles that you can check out. But as we get excited for the snow to leave, great preseason deals on motorcycles of all brands, the best in ATVs and side-by-sides, not to mention golf carts for the summer up ahead as well. And it doesn't stop there. Amazing RV options for you to take advantage of the summer, and so many options when it comes to boats as well, in addition to outboard motors from Suzuki and Mercury. The best deals in town. That's how they've been in business as Manitoba's power sports superstore for 80 years. Pop out and see him in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, and shop online today at their website at chudspowersports.com. Manitoba Battery is your local option for the best prices in batteries for all of your battery needs, whether it's getting your car and truck through the teeth of the Manitoba winter, or as we warm things up and get ready to have some fun, the best in batteries for motorcycles, ATVs, boats, and more. If it needs a battery, Manitoba Battery has it, and Donnie and his amazing staff will not only provide you the best in customer service that you won't see at the big box stores, they'll beat the pants off the big box stores in price. Shop local, save money, and get the best in customer service for all your battery needs at Manitoba Battery. Now with 2 locations in Winnipeg, Logan Avenue and Dovercourt Drive. They'll also save you time and deliver those batteries to you citywide, anywhere inside the perimeter. You can shop online as well at manitobabattery.com today. All right, good stuff with Nick. Man, it's so cool to see all the stuff that he's doing in the in the community. But as Isha Boy Bruce just said, cannot wait for Bomber season. LFG. I completely second that. And as we see some nice weather, a little bit of the snow going away, it won't be too long before it's football season. We do have a month left in this Jets season, so let's get back to the Jets and welcome in on location after an early morning round, international man of mystery, Ken Wiebe. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Great to be with you, Huss. Beautiful Friday here. One of the few days where I got up when it was still dark outside to beat the 105 heat here in Arizona. But yeah, good to sneak a couple rounds in the old MB Golf Tour 2026 here, road trip edition. And, we've been watching the hockey, obviously, and that was an interesting one, that's for sure.
Hey, listen, just before we get into it, I do want to mention that this segment's a presentation of GMC. Truck Month is on now at GMC. If you want something reliable, tough, and ready for whatever the schedule throws at you, it's the 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab in a nutshell. And it could be yours for 0% financing for 72 months with a factory 2-inch lift, off-road suspension, and a 5.3-liter V8. This is one ready for anything truck. Don't miss out. Get your local GMC dealer and take advantage of Truck Month before it ends. Ken, listen, 6-1, It sounds like they got pumped. I was shocked to hear the infamous deserve to win meter actually had the Jets on the right end of it and really pointed out a really rough night for Connor Hellebuyck and a brilliant night for Jeremy Swayman as the difference. I am kind of not really there.
Mash the deserve to win a meter on that one.
What's more effective right now, the deserve to win a meter or your laptop?
Very good point there. Yes, we have I think a stable solution. We have Leo, my father-in-law's laptop currently, but we have found a charger that fits in the A to C adapter, but the battery power is very limited. So a bit of an adventure for those who missed it on our last night. Yeah, exactly. It'll be a bit of an adventure. Us, I think it's a bit too simplistic there. Now, what I would say is that, Jets had some high danger chances when the game was still within reach, or, basically when it was still 0-0. But, and again, I don't want to get too overloaded here don't want to get too far in the weeds. I know people are just pointing, Hellebuyck. Well, yeah, one bad bounce on the rim, sure. Zaka bar down, Minton backdoor tap. So, okay, now that's 3 already. Now, you can make an argument. People are going crazy and thinking it's 2016 when Connor wasn't really handling the puck super well. But again, he didn't even handle that puck. I don't think it might have hit his stick, but that's his job is to get behind the net and stop the hard rim. I mean, people saying just stay in your crease, that's not how it works in the NHL. Every goalie in the NHL's job is to try to get that puck and stop it for the defenseman. So, deserved to win a meter, sure. I mean, there was a great chance for Scheifele right before the first goal was scored. Swayman made a good save, rebound kicked into the corner. That's true. Later, Swayman on Velarde. I mean, that's one of the best saves you're going to see on the highlight reels this weekend. So, but again, I just don't think that the Jets' effort when it mattered matched the intensity of their opponent in this situation, Huss. And I think that's why you saw frustration from Scott O'Neill post game. He was quick to say, turn the page. And Huss, I mean, for people who are tired of hearing turn the page, I will bring you Exhibit A, where last year the Jets were 15-1, and all they said after every single game was turn the page and focus on the next opponent. So they're trying to stay consistent on the messaging front. But Huss, I mean, you were there on Tuesday. I was watching from here. Jets basically went from their best overall effort. They produced 39 shots, 76 or 77 shot attempts against a desperate team that they were trying to leapfrog in the standings, lose in a shootout, and then follow it up with the performance that just wasn't requisite to what was required to remain in what has become a bit of a turtle derby in the Western Conference. Now, yes, the Kings get a point and the Jets do lose ground, but it was a shootout, or it was a regulation win away from best case scenario for Jets staying in the race, us and people who are on that side of the fence or whatever else. So, but again, that's the kind of effort that you can rinse that no problem. if it's November or December, maybe even January, and in this case, when there were 4 games in February, I don't think you can afford one there. But any other time other than March, it's not a big deal. But given what was at stake against a team that was equally desperate, if not more so, in the Boston Bruins, who are in a playoff race of their own, the Jets didn't answer the bell. They were there early, but then they weren't there late, Huss. And I think that would be the troubling part. And again, it's not habitual for the Jets. This isn't something where they've been steamrolled often this year and you can just say, oh, the effort wasn't there. This is a consistent theme. These guys are finished. But at the same time, Huss, when your margin for error is so minute and you put up an effort like that, now you're thinking, man, they were never going to run the table 15-0, or that was going to be virtually impossible. But when you throw a clunker in there like that, now the degree of difficulty rises even further, even when the opponents around you don't take advantage of the chance to kind of widen the gap to 6, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you mentioned turn the page. I mean, listen, the last half of this game and a few of the games, like I'll kind of push back a little bit. Like this, this wasn't like a one of the season. I mean, we've seen a bunch of these sort of performances, and it did sort of get the feeling
not
like
5-goal deficits, though, Huss.
No. I mean, I'm just talking about the effort, the jam, the intensity of the team. Like, listen, I think that was better than the Anaheim game. And I think back, this team's been in such a bad situation since the middle of January, really.
Yeah.
That, I think about the Montreal game going into the Olympic break. I mean, they were ready for the break, and it kind of feels at times right now with this team like they do want to turn the page on the 25-26 season and just get to the off season. But I didn't even know if I found Arneal sounding really that frustrated, as just sort of matter of fact, like a level of resignation about where the team is, the reality of the situation that is sort of creeping its way into the room and now on the ice.
Well, I mean, for me, Huss, we talked about this for a long time now. Jets are basically going to have to run at 700 plus if they wanted to keep those slim hopes alive. And even though other teams around them haven't widened the gap and it seems manageable in some regards, they've had a couple, stubbing their toe situations of late, as you mentioned. And I mean, if you stretch it out to the 30-game block, the 30-game block is really good, but it had to be exceptional, right? So I don't know. I mean, resignation, that's not what I'm hearing, Huss, but I think that it's been a lot of frustration for a lot of people, for sure. But, again, unless this team gets blown out twice in the weekend, I don't think that they're ready to turn the page yet, although I'm sure there's tons of frustration. If they wanted to let's just put it this way, Huss. To me, watching them and being in the room and talking to people, if they wanted to turn the page on the season, that 11-point gap would currently be 20, not 5, right? That would be my counter to that. They left themselves too much ground to try to catch up on. There've been a ton of really good individual seasons, but the team play just hasn't been good enough. The depth hasn't been good enough, and the structure hasn't been good enough, and the special teams haven't been good enough. But other than that, it's going great for them.
Wiebe, there's 14 games left on the season.
Yep.
A lot of it's on the road. Regardless of whether you think this team still has a puncher's chance to get back in and play whatever the top team is in the West, or likely we start focusing on the draft lottery and, where the team finishes. But within the team right now, when you look at the Jets, the lineup, the players that are in, like, what is at stake right now for this team? And in particular, the players that have the most to gain and prove in the final 14 as it pertains to the offseason and next year.
Yeah, I think that, let's just put it this way. In the next week and a half, I know people want to fast forward to the lottery and everything else. Given the opponents that are on the schedule, I think this conversation is probably going to sound a little bit different by next Friday, Huss, than this Friday, because right now, not a lot is going to be changing. They're still going to be trying to produce what they can and stay in the race. But we already saw in the third period yesterday, yes, it was line blender time and, the game was out of reach, but some of those things that I think you want me to get into. So Isak Rosen, played with Morgan Barron. plus. Brad Lambert played with Cole Perfetti and Lowry, plus. So you want to see where those guys are going to fit, right? They're unlikely to be playing together in the top 6, but maybe that's something we'll see at some point. Lambert and Roseanne together, maybe. But right now, they probably want those speedsters on different lines where they're going to try to see how much they can produce. Now, Brad Lambert, good on him, assisted on the power play. I think both Roseanne and Lambert need to deliver a little bit more at 5-on-5, Huss, from what I've been seeing. I see effort, but I'm not seeing a ton of golden looks. I thought that Roseanne early on, I think there's been tons of potential shown. Brad looks like he's getting more comfortable. So, where are those lines going to land? That's what I'm curious about. I think Morgan Barron still has among the most to gain, Huss, and I know some people want him at 2C, and I don't see that as the perfect role for him either. But I also don't want to see Morgan Barron rolled out in the 4C role very often down the stretch either, because he's one of the players that can give the Jets more, Huss. We've talked about this for a long time. I understand why a coach would want, and Scott Arniel wants to use him as the 4C. It's a, set it and forget it situation. But when so many of the players above him in the lineup are not producing to the levels they need to be, I think you need to give Morgan Barron more. And, you can either call up Danny Jokin to play fourth line center, or you can shuffle the deck a little bit and move some guys around. So lots at stake for some players, certainly. In terms of, we're about to see another decision on the back end. And I think maybe Scott Arniel showed his cards a little bit yesterday. Now, some people will say maybe it was score related, but Elias Solomonson continues to deliver excellent minutes for the Winnipeg Jets, Huss. I think there would be value. And I know people were doing the debate. If Neil Pionk is ready to play either Saturday in Pittsburgh or Sunday at Madison Square Garden, I don't think the automatic move is moving Solomonson to the third pairing. Nor should it be, Huss. He's been one of their best defensemen down the stretch. I think it makes sense to roll Solomonson with Josh Morrissey a little bit longer. And that's nothing to do with Dylan DeMello. Dylan DeMello has done a great job over the course of his career, especially when he arrived. Yes, he's played a lot with Morrissey, but in other situations, he's been a great shepherd, Huss, of people on the third pairing when required. So I think right now you can afford to give Solomonson more. And if you give Dylan DeMello to either Dylan Sandberg or the guy on the third pairing, whether it's Bryson or Fleury, I think you'll get stabilized minutes on the third pairing, which right now the third pairing has been going through it a little bit. Yes, Hayden Fleury had a really good game, goal and an assist on the weekend in the Sunday game, but that pairing had a tough go yesterday. Fleury got benched for a period of time. Bryson took a stick in the face. I mean, I understand the Free Villy Nation is still up in arms, still banging on the table, wanting more, and maybe they'll get more at some point, but they're not going to get a whole lot more, Huss. And for those who haven't been listening in the last 2 months, Heinola, it's hard to envision a scenario where Ville Heinola is back, Huss. And for those folks who don't know, Ville Heinola will be a Group 6 UFA at the end of this year, no matter how many games he gets into down the stretch. You and I talked about this coming out of the break. He would have been one short even if he had played all of them. So I can't imagine a scenario where the player says, sign me up for one more year of this. So the Jets are not under any obligation to play Ville Heinola down the stretch. Now, for him, maybe he's going to get a couple bones thrown to him. And again, it's easy to make the argument that give him a chance. He's worked hard. He's been patient. He might be one of the best 6 options right now. So I'm not saying it won't happen, but the people saying play Heinola to find out what you have, that ship has sailed. You know what you have. So unless you're playing him because you think he's a better option than Bryson or Fleury, that's not happening. So Solomonson, yes, to playing more, Huss. I think leave him at 18 to 20 minutes. It'll be interesting to see how the usage with Pionk. He's been out so long. Again, people are getting bent out of shape. We'll see if he loses his job due to injury or whatnot. But Pionk plays a heavy game that down the stretch he can get banged up because of how hard he plays. So if that's a concern, you can also leave DeMello with Sandberg and put Pionk on the third pair. If you want to play him on the second power play because you signed him to a long-term deal, fine. But Solomonson also has done a really good job at what the Jets have struggled with, getting shots through. The tip-in goal by Taves is a great example of what he's been doing well. He's been defending well. He's using his agility and his feet well. He's checking well, doing all the things you want him to do. I said this to you 3 months ago, Huss. Solomonson needs to play close to half a season. I think if I did the math and he stays healthy, he can get to basically 39 games. Now, it's not 41, but a half season is better than a quarter season or whatever number it was going to be. Solomonson obviously showing that he can handle more, so he needs to be given more, Huss. And again, I'm not saying 28 minutes a game or whatever else, but you know what you got with a lot of the other pairings. Find out if Solomonson can take on a little bit more responsibility on a top pairing with Morrissey. What does it do for Morrissey? Again, you know what DeMello Morrissey looks like, and there's lots of times where that pair has been the Jets' best by a significant margin. But Solomonson needs to be given a chance to, ride with Morrissey a little bit, because they're going to have some decisions on the defense score moving forward. Yesterday was another example where it was too easy for Boston to get to the front of the net, and it cost them in that game. So again, I'm not saying it has to be a 6-7 tree or whatever else, but they're going to want to add size to the blue line. So Solomonson, see if he's going to play on the second pairing with Sandberg, or see if it maybe makes more sense for the long term and the short term to try him with Morrissey. After that, certainly everybody has at stake. There's guys playing for jobs, guys trying to stay in the league, but sorry, I went around the block with that one.
Yeah, but I think we wanted to get to. Elias is at the top of the list for me, and he. Yeah,
number one. Yes.
Despite the fact that this has been, a disappointing period and run, he has been one of the real bright spots. Last night, another 21 minutes of solid play, and he's showing there's a number of levels to his game: competency defensively, reliability, consistency, and then adding certainly a little bit more offensively that we're seeing lately than maybe Dylan DeMello brings to, that pairing with Josh Morrissey. So the more Elias, the better. I think
and physical, Huss. He's been more physical. He's getting involved physically, which is something that has been in his toolbox, but there's a comfort level you need at the NHL level before you become a more physical player. I think there's more physical play coming from Solomonson down the road here.
Yeah. As far as call-ups, we heard from Kevin Cheveldayoff. They'd like to get Ty Bauer. I would have loved to have seen Bauer in that Boston game last night to introduce himself to Tanner Jeannot, but I digress. Another call-up or two that they have at some point. Will that not happen until there's an E beside their name? Or, if they lose another one of these games or drop these next couple, will we get into that mode beforehand, knowing what the reality is, but not being official?
Yeah, Huss, it's a great question. And again, only Kevin Cheveldayoff and Scott O'Neill know the answer for sure. I would have time for, again, how I feel about this. I would have time for more of Walker Duehr, even as soon as Saturday. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily, but I think that the speed element and the grit element and the penalty killing element that he brought was something that would be welcome for the Jets, especially, like I said, if you bump Morgan Barron up, you can add Walker Duehr to the fourth line and probably get a little bit more out of it. I know that a lot of people are voicing frustration about Gustav Nyquist still being in the lineup. It's pretty apparent he's not going to be back. So
yeah, what's the point?
At what point are you, healthy scratching him for a young player? Like, I get it. Right now, there's still the comfort that a veteran coach is looking for as his team stays in it. But again, I understand the other side of the argument. Looked like Chibrikov is getting a little bit more involved with the Moose offense, at least. Now he's a guy who's around in the mix, obviously. I think the one that makes the most sense, I think, is Jilkin Huss. I think when he came up, he did a nice job. Again, more speed he brings. He can kill penalties. His faceoffs were okay. I think that if you're considering Danny Jilkin for 4C next year, Huss, again, there's some decisions to come. I think that getting him somewhere close to 10 games down the stretch would be beneficial also, because you want to find out if there's enough, much like David Gustafsson, and I know they're totally different players, Huss, you got to find out if you're going to get enough offense out of Danny Jilkin in the 4C role. Otherwise, you got to find somebody who is going to give you that offense. So we know he's a smart defensive player. We know he's got some good offensive upside. We know he's got speed, and we know he played hard in his time up here. And again, this has got nothing to do with Parker Ford. Parker Ford played hard at the start of the year also, Huss. But I think if you're considering Jilkin for 4C next year, you got to get him a little bit more runway here down the stretch. Now, I don't know that has to wait until the X is beside their, it would be the opposite of the X, I guess, beside their name.
The E for eliminated.
Sorry, yes. So Anyways, and then again, on the back, Bauer's an interesting one, Huss. I mean, you're around in the Moose days. To me, the Bauer situation would be reminiscent of like a Mel Angelstad special where you give a guy who's been around and scrapped his way forever. Now, again, Angelstad had played more than Bauer by this point.
Are you convinced he can't play in the NHL? I mean, are we saying that before he even gets a game?
I can't say I'm not convinced, but I mean, I would say he still needs to work in his skating if he wants to be an NHL regular, even as a seventh guy, Huss. Because if it was proficient enough, I think he would have been given a little bit more runway. Now, again, I don't think there's anybody tougher in the organization down in the farm. I think that Tyrell Bauer is a guy who does a lot of things well. He's a smart guy. He can kill penalties. He can clear the front of the net. But I think that I'm going to use the example here, and because a lot of people were down on him before he was moved. I don't think it's as easy as saying, Huss, Luke Schenn was near the end of his career. Bauer can just do what Luke Schenn did. Like, let's not confuse the situation. Luke Schenn was a first-round draft pick.
We don't want anyone doing what Luke Schenn was doing, Ken.
Huss, you know what I mean here, in terms of just being able to provide the toughness and physicality and all those things. Now, he can provide some of those things for sure, but let's see how he does with the NHL pace before we say he can or can't do it. I mean,
well, that's what I say.
I would say that if it were that easy and if the Jets were confident, if that were the case, I think we would have seen it already. Now, again, I don't also think the Jets definitely value what Tyrell Bauer does, and you've seen the strides in Bauer's skating since he started coming into the organization, whether it's at development camps or training camps. And I think what people don't know, some people don't know, I think he had a really bad injury in Seattle. So I think his skating was probably better before the, tough injury, but he's worked his behind off to get it back. So again, it's an incredibly fast game. So now, again, it's up to Bauer to show when that opportunity comes that he can handle the pace. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the NHL who aren't exactly blazing speed guys. Braden McNabb is a great example, Huss. We've seen a ton of Braden McNabb, not a fast skater, probably one of the slowest in the NHL. Very effective defenseman in terms of puck moving, clearing the front of the net, killing penalties, and he's a winner, right? Great leadership from Bauer. We know he's a young captain in the Western League, plays hard, always battles for his teammates. So, hey, I'm all for him getting a chance. But again, for the people who think it's automatic that Bauer, gets in the lineup once and he's a 10-year NHLer,
oh yeah,
to
no.
borrow Blake Wheeler, like that's pump the brakes territory.
Yeah, but at the same
time, what do you have to lose? I get that part too. Like,
there's
give Tyrell
absolutely
Bauer
nothing.
a chance.
There's a guy that's earned it. We just said Stanley and Schenn are gone. They are going to be needing that role. I mean, how do you not give the guy that has been doing that at your AHL team, who has absolutely earned it, an opportunity? And I mean, as I said, if he comes and shows that, it's just way too big of a gap and it's not really an option, well, at least you find out. At least you find out. But, I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have been sort of written off for whatever reason that have come up, shown that there's some things that they can do very well and find a spot. And to me, this is the time to do it. And, I mean, I just hope that the organization has an open mind, that this isn't just a favor to a guy because he's been great with the team for a while. You know what? Go up, get the guy some ice time, see what he can do. And as we said, we know what the situation is. We know how the picks are going to roll in. We know what the lottery. I mean, if they lose a game or two because of it, so be it. Not the end of the world. But, I mean, this is a guy that I think has done, and Cheveldayoff said it himself. They would love to give him that opportunity. There is now a gaping hole in the lineup for the physicality and toughness on that blue line. So it would be almost negligent, I think, not to see what he can do for a few games before the end of the season.
And us, just lastly, there's no way Kevin Cheveldayoff brings a name like Bauer's up unless he's not saying that to say, hey, Tyrell, I need you to fight more with the Moose so you might get a little nibble here at the end of the year. He's only saying that because there, A, have been discussions, or B, they're strongly considering it.
Yeah, for sure. And just back to Ville, I mean, listen, to use your quote, that ship has sailed. He's gone next year. So as much as I think many of us would like to see him get a fresh start and an opportunity, I mean, if there's spots to give guys a run to see them. I mean, you got Bryson that's come in. I mean, you're still probably evaluating him, whether you're interested on him beyond this year. And then a guy like Bauer, more Salamon's son, Pionk's coming back. That's just not the case. What's at stake for the coach the rest of this way? And I guess part of that is, as of right now, I mean, if you gave me the old overdrive style Jerry's percentages, what did you think the percentage is back that the coach and coaching staff is back next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still relatively high. I mean, this is 1 year removed from having the best season in franchise history. I've said this before. I mean, I've known Scott Arniel for more than 2 decades. I've watched him have a variety of roles, from assistant coach, associate coach, head coach in the minors, head coach in the NHL. And I think that the way that the Jets have stayed in the race, even though a lot of people in the tankathon category would like them to sort of just, fully tank, I think it tells you that Scott Arniel is still a pretty smart hockey person, which is why he got the job in the first place. It's why he's worked on staffs that made the Stanley Cup final and had an important role on those teams. But at the same time, this person, to me, it's way more personnel based than coaching based, Huss. But at the same time, I mean, when a team dips from first overall to near the bottom, like, all things will be under review. But I would think that Scott Arniel, based on last season alone and how the team has stayed in the race, would at least get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to next year's training camp. So, barring something unforeseen down the stretch, or, exit meetings sometimes bring different results. But again, and I've said this numerous times on our show and on this show, Huss, 6-1 loss notwithstanding, I don't see a team that has quit down the stretch on its head coach. I mean, the Jets implemented a bunch of different changes stylistically and structurally during the Olympic break, and then came out on fire. So if you're not listening to what the coach has to say, and I know this is always the most popular commentary in the comments section on your show, my show, social media, it's always the coach has lost the room. I mean, based on what? I mean, if the coach loses the room, his team quits on them and they get steamrolled. And that simply hasn't happened for the Jets. Now, Scott Arniel will evaluate the season when it's over also. I'm sure there's going to be things, much like some of the players and much like Kevin Cheveldayoff said at his own, trade deadline avail. I'm sure there's some things that he would like to have done differently. But do I think everything is solved if the Jets just fire the head coach and try to roll it? I mean, that to me, I think I don't see that as a priority for Kevin Cheveldayoff, and I don't think Scott Arniel deserves to be fired, Huss. I mean, I'm just going to be as blunt as possible. But again,
there's a ton of coaches that have been, and I'm with you. I mean, listen, I'm a fan of Arnie. I mean, he's certainly earned this spot. And I'm not advocating for it. I mean, it's just, it's something, I think there's so many positions, frankly, in this organization that need to be really reviewed. I mean, we're focusing on the Jet team, but as a team that needs to be better draft and developing, I'm sure they're going to be going back through how are things working with the Moose? Do they need changes there? Scouting, I mean, all of that stuff. But I mean, obviously with the big club, when you have a season as disappointing as this, it's not uncommon for that to cost someone a job in the National Hockey League.
Well, and I'm not saying that, Huss, but what I am saying is that, it's easy to get caught away in the moment or whatever else. I mean, Craig Berube didn't become a bad coach overnight either. There was personnel and some other circumstances, right? So, there's been lots of debate over whether Berube is going to be around or not, but I think he will be around. So now, again, I understand Berube also has a Stanley Cup ring that Scott Arniel doesn't have, but and again, Huss, I mean, the Jets don't have a natural incumbent in the organization. So, it's not like in Montreal where Pascal Vincent is there as a, potential, again, not that Smarty St. Louis is getting fired, but my point is that there's not an in-house candidate that you would say right away and say, oh, that guy's obviously going to do a better job. I mean, anyways, everyone is under review, as you said, Huss. I think the people that are saying that it's as easy as changing the coach and the results will immediately be different, I think those people are fooling themselves, quite frankly.
Yeah. Oh, no, listen, I mean, there's plenty of things I think that need to be changed, tweaked, overhauled. And I mean, it's just, unfortunately, it is the nature of that job that when you come in with really high expectations and you fall so short of them, there is a price to pay. Sometimes it's players, personnel. Sometimes it's management. I'm certainly there's an argument on that side. I would be shocked if that happened, but the life of an NHL coach, there's been a lot of guys that probably didn't deserve to get a pink slip that did, because of some things that are under their control and many things that are out.
Sure, Hassan. Just to tie a bow on this situation, I mean, this isn't just about 1 year or 2 years when he was the bench boss. Scott Arniel was also on the Rick Bowness staff, where we spent the last 4 years talking about how the culture improved dramatically. Scott Arniel was part of that too, Huss. A big part of the coaching staff that helped that overhaul. So the whole thing about, yes, it's fallen off the rails. I get that, but I think you got to widen the lens a little bit when we're talking about this. But at the same time, I mean, again, like I said, we understand everything will be under review, but I don't think I think it's more of a slim chance than a high chance that Scott Arniel will be seeking employment in the offseason.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting offseason. I think more so than ever. I think kind of everything within reason is on the table. I mean, you're not blowing up the entire roster. No one's expecting that. But as I say, we're going to get to the 16th of April and then beyond and start playing the stupid draft lottery simulator every day, watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. But at that moment, if it hasn't already, I think a lot of evaluation within the organization will take place, and we'll see what changes come, because they certainly do not want a repeat of what we've had this year. Just real quick on the way out, we got Pittsburgh tomorrow. Just thoughts on this. I mean, speaking of coaching, I mean, you bring in Dan Moyes. I didn't even know who the heck this guy is or was. He's should be probably a finalist for the Jack Adams Award. Even without Malkin, without Crosby, they just keep on winning, and it looks like the Penguins are going to be a playoff team. Just thoughts on the opponent tomorrow?
Yeah, it's been impressive. I mean, going into the offseason, I mean, everyone was proclaiming that Pittsburgh looked like the only team that was a guaranteed seller, and they've ended up being in a playoff spot basically the whole season. So, I mean, that great job by Muse, especially behind the bench. But I mean, that's for all the people saying that keeping the core together, I mean, that's a core that has won before. That's a team that a core that Kyle Dubas inherited but trusts, and they've done an exceptional job of integrating younger players, right? Kendall, some of the other guys they've had guys who've stepped up and become important players. Ryan Shea on the back end, a lot of people don't even know who that is, but he's a guy who's going to be one of the stabilizing pieces in the top four. That's what teams need, guys to step up, step in, do the job. Jets are going to need some of those internal candidates, and that's how teams level up when they haven't been in the playoffs. So, I mean, Penguins play hard. It's great to see Sid back. I mean, I understand some Jets fans would have preferred he waited a bit longer. Every time Sid plays, it's a treat. Enjoy watching him. Again, he's battled Father Time incredibly well, but, enjoy the chance to see him, whether it's live or on the tube. It should be a fun game. I mean, but it doesn't get any more simple, Huss. This is, we use the term response game with regularity. This has to be a response game for the Winnipeg Jets, or else, there's going to be other questions being asked during the last 13 games. Yeah, well, there's a real hungry team that'll be playing on home ice tomorrow. We'll look forward to it. It's a noon start. That means early KNR on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday's game time. The puck drops 11 a.m. Winnipeg time, live from the world's most famous arena. Ken, thank you for doing this. Good work on figuring out a way to work it without your laptop. I'm glad you had a nice round today. Enjoy the rest of your time out there, and we'll look forward to KNR tomorrow. Yeah, thanks, my friend. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you in person next week here. Take care. Appreciate it. There is Ken Wiebe at Wiebe's World, and again, Kenny and Rennie tomorrow and Sunday after the game. We are going to step away from the Jets. We do have marbles coming up. We got to get to the cool bet lines, but it is Friday. The Hacksaw Hamilton NFL Notebook is next on WST. WST would like to thank our friends at Cleanline Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk throughout the Jet season. When we're doing the Winnipeg Jet lines, we do it with the gang at Cleanline.
who are the leaders in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience. And like the captain, Adam Lowry, has the back of his teammates, Cleanline has yours with 24/7 emergency services. So when you're in a jam at any time of the day, Cleanline has you covered. 204-500-2001 is the number. Write that one down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services from the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. You can find out more online at cleanline.ca. Well, it's time to get ready for spring with our friends at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore, family-owned and operated for over 50 years. And as we get the snow out of here, it is time to get back on the pitch. Royal is the soccer headquarters in town with more boots than you've ever seen. Not to mention great soccer merch from teams and nations around the world. Of course, we got baseball and slow pitch season coming up. They'll get you ready with gloves, bats, everything you need to dominate on it. Of course, they've still got hockey gear, snowboarding gear for those of you making the trip out for spring break, and the best selection of licensed merchandise for fans of the NHL, National Football League, NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball with Blue Jays season just around the corner. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. You got to see it to believe it. Get down there today and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We still do have plenty of games to get to for the Winnipeg Jets season, and with many on the road, no better place to get together with your gang to watch the squad than your local Boston Pizza. Ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and of course, Winnipeg Jets pick a player contest where you can win great prizes from BP every time the Winnipeg Jets score. So for the next game or the big game on the TV, head on down to Boston Pizza at your local BP location. Buckle up. And of course, if you are staying at home, you can get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, much more to come on WST. But first, a big shout out to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's chop it up with Hacksaw. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton joins us right now. Make sure to check out the website, leehacksawhamilton.com, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Saw, how are you, my friend? Melting down in Southern California, I hear?
Ooh, I've never seen anything like this. Today's the first day of spring. Yesterday was 107. The day before that was 103 where I live. I live inland North County. I don't live with the rich people on the ocean. But it's bloody hot here. And, of course, Wiebe was just in Arizona. And everybody that I know in Phoenix, and I used to live in Phoenix, are just screaming because their temperatures are over 100 every day. And this is March, and it's never, ever happened like that.
Well, stay cool, get the AC cranked, and we'll have a chat. Listen, before we get to the NFL Notebook, now that it is in the rearview mirror, thoughts on the WBC. I watched as much of it as I could. I thought this was an amazing event. The Venezuelans winning was wild, incredible celebration. You see how much it means to these other countries. I'm buying stock in the WBC. Where are you at on it?
Oh, I'll sign the memo, and I'll put an addendum sheet on that memo to Rob Manfred. Let's just take the WBC, transplant it, put it in the middle of the summer.
Amen.
Make it a 10-day all-star break. And here's the rationale. A, it's become a global event. It's become a big TV draw. Obviously, we love the passion. I mean, the Latin American fan is just cut from a different cloth, and it is so cool to see their love of baseball. And it is the national game in Venezuela, and it is in the Caribbean, and obviously even in Cuba. Take it, drop it in mid-July, make the All-Star break 10 days, or 12 days if you want. And here's the difference maker in the equation. Everybody will want to come play, notably come pitch for their flag. That's the critical piece of the equation, because in spring training, everybody's short on arms because the arms are not ready to go max effort that early in spring. Tarek Skubal had the one quality start. I think he had another 3 innings in him. But if you do this thing in July, everybody will want to play for the flag, and that includes every pitcher. Can you imagine the rosters we would compile? Because everybody would be all in. So that's the next thing. They've stumbled on something that's fantastic, now relocated to the right part of the calendar.
Just from the Team USA perspective, they obviously got Canada last Friday in the quarter. They make it to the finals. They lose in a thriller to the Venezuelans. What's the aftermath for Mark DeRosa on his decisions, and what will this do to the way Team USA maybe prepares their management group for future WBCs?
Well, it was a shocker that all these teams relievers came in and choked off the Team USA batting order. But at the end of the day, every one of those relievers would come in and throw 100 miles an hour for 10 pitches, and that'd be it. Nobody's going max length in any of these games. So Team USA was trying to hit the ball out on every pitch they were swinging at, and rather than putting balls in play, etc. It didn't work out. A lot of those guys had just really poor 2 weeks of baseball. But that being said, I think it's a mystical event. In terms of DeRosa, I don't know if I'd bring him back. When you've got greatness like Bruce Bochy sitting in a front office somewhere, why not him with all of his World Series rings rather than a guy that was on my TV the week prior? So there'll probably be a structural change. There are so many good baseball people. Dusty Baker's out there too. There's so many good baseball people out there that you could tap to come in and do it, who have a world of experience. But I'd be fascinated if we could do this. Now, I don't know if you do it every 4 years or maybe you make it every 2, although the Olympics are going to come into play in this next group of years here. But what a spectacular event that Rob Manfred and those guys just kind of created, stumbled across, capitalized on it now, because the NHL stumbled across the same thing with, the Four Nations tournament. And the NBA is trying to configure what they should do, Team USA or Team North America versus the world, for their All-Star festivities. So this is great. This is the next venture forward.
Yeah, listen, no one was surprised, or maybe some people were surprised with the Four Nations on how it was good. But we'd gone, 11 years, 12 years without a legitimate best on best. And, if you're a hockey fan of a certain vintage, you remember the great Olympic Games, the Canada Cups, the World Cup, going back to 96. So, this is a no-brainer for hockey, and baseball is an even more international game. It just makes too much sense, and I'm with you 100%. Get that thing in the middle of the season, get guys at their peaks right now, and make the best possible product for baseball and for Major League Baseball too, of course, is their big. And I think it'll probably end up, assuming that the major leaguers will be going to the Olympics going forward, every 2 years you'll have an event. It'll be the Olympics, a year off. It'll be WBC, year off, Olympics, and forward. And that's basically the hockey model moving forward. All right, let's get over to the gridiron. We've had a bunch of trades and lots of trade rumors swirling around. The offseason is so different in the NFL now with the amount of player movement of actual trades as opposed to we've seen in the past. What are you hearing? And then we'll kind of get down the docket of what's happened.
First of all, the whole landscape of the NFL has changed because of all these new general managers. These are not former players who are just looking to hang on. These are Ivy League guys. These are smart guys. These are analytics guys. The whole landscape of general managers in the last 5 years has drastically changed. And new guys coming in, Hustler, they look at what they inherited. I didn't cause this. I'm not going to keep these guys. These aren't my guys. And there's a new breed of general manager also that looks at the draft a little bit differently. We got a guy out here, Les Snead, who's put together 2 Super Bowl teams with the Rams. He wears a T-shirt that says, F those draft picks. And he just swaps out draft picks. And he keeps trading them away. And they trade the future for today because they think they're all in and they're about to go back to the Super Bowl again. So it's a different clientele that's pulling the trigger on the transactions. The next big deal, there's been 6 trades so far in the last 2 weeks wrapped around free agency. The next big deal is what's going to happen in Philadelphia. And I shake my head at this, but they're obviously going to get rid of A.J. Brown. I think they're tired of the act. He's a great player. My goodness, he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's a phenomenal player, but he's a diva. And there's just too much junk in that locker room and too much stuff off the field and in the offseason. Am I happy? Why am I not happy? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? They're done. And the rumor mill, the latest rumor, is that the Rams are talking to them about a deal. Let's get some salary cap complexities to it. But the rumor is the Rams would give up wide receiver Davante Adams and a number 2 this year and maybe another pick next year. Go get A.J. Brown. Now, Philadelphia is going to take a cap hit along the way if they do it, but at least they get Davante Adams for at least 2 more years on his contract. So keep an eye on that transaction. Now, it's just not Philadelphia Rams. New England is now back into the conversation, and they got a lot of draft capital going forward. They got a lot of cap space. So it could be Philadelphia stocks up on just draft choices. A.J. Brown could wind up going there. And, of course, he was in Tennessee when Mike Vrabel was there as a coach. So that kind of makes sense, too. So keep an eye on that's the next big transaction in the league. And the other, the next story is what's happening with quarterbacks. And there's 2 more dominoes that are going to fall because the Raiders need a veteran quarterback, and Pittsburgh doesn't know who their veteran quarterback is going to be. I hate to say Aaron Rodgers is holding these guys hostage in Pittsburgh, but Mike McCarthy knows Rodgers. If he wants Rodgers, call Rodgers and find out where he is on vacation and say, do you want to play? Because I got to move on. If you're not going to give me an answer right now, I'm leaving. They need to make a decision. Kirk Cousins is out there. Cousins could go to the Raiders and then also instantly make them an AFC West power with everything else that the Raiders have done because they got an awful lot of skilled guys. They've just been deficient at quarterback. Or Cousins could wind up possibly in Pittsburgh on a short 1 or 2 year rental. So I think the next storyline is going to be quarterback, which veteran goes where. If Rodgers calls Pittsburgh and says, I'm ready to decide to play, then Mike McCarthy brings them in, and they just hit the floor running. And if he can't get an answer out of them, then Mike McCarthy should just call Kirk Cousins and then bring Cousins in. And it's not a financial thing because Cousins got all the money from the world he got when Atlanta let him go. So this is going to be interesting. That's the next domino that's going to fall there.
Lee, I don't know if I'm buying what you're selling on the Raiders. I mean, they have done some moves in the offseason. They had so many holes. The biggest intrigue, is whether they bring a veteran quarterback in. They certainly will. Does that guy start for a few weeks before they go with Mendoza, or does Mendoza get the keys right out of the draft?
Well, there seems to be a theory that they don't want to put him in there because he's not ready and they're not ready. But see, Kirk Cousins with the 2 tight ends, the 2 wide receivers, and Ashton Genty, that's suddenly a really good, dangerous offense. And, of course, they got the highest paid center in the history of the NFL when they got the Baltimore Ravens starting center. So it's going to be a very different team. And the Raiders, I agree with you, that's been so dysfunctional. It's god-awful. But they signed 6 starters in free agency. They spent $231 million on the first day of free agency. So they're changing everything, and they still have high draft picks to use. Mendoza comes in and learns. I don't think he plays till maybe the end of the season. They just don't want to put him out there and get him killed because he's not ready and because they're not ready. A veteran quarterback can better cope with this rebuild that they're halfway through on the offensive side of the football. I think potentially they're better than they've ever been in more recent years. That's if Cousins is the guy. If it's Mendoza, then it's a learning curve season.
Marbles is open, by the way. Exclamation mark Marbles in the chat. We'll get to that in a few minutes once we finish up with Hacksaw. So the salary cap is omnipresent. It involves, every team has cap issues. You can always make some magic happen and kick things around. But the invoices are coming due around the league, and dead cap money is a term we're hearing a lot right now going into the new league year.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. Jerry Jones obviously talks good game, and then Jerry Jones is at Cap Hill every spring. And Jerry Jones restructures contracts. He restructured 7 contracts in the last 2 weeks. His quarterback, Dak Prescott, next year has a cap figure of $73 million. Nobody can live with that. I mean, it's just absurd. You keep, as you would say, kick the can down the road. but that's what some of these teams are doing. Here's the other staggering statistic. Now, the cap just went up to $301 million, the $22 million bump from a year ago. So, I mean, a lot of people are flush with cap space. But the minute you start dumping contracts, dumping veterans, everything that was owed on the books comes rushing to this year. So the cap is at 301. How about this? Write this down. Miami has $177 million dead money on a $301 million cap. Miami doesn't have enough money to sign any quality players. They're signing all these street free agents and backup guys. I mean, but they're in effect, they're tanking for next year's run to go get a quarterback. So the Miami cap situation, we've never ever seen this before. And obviously Dallas just keeps kicking the cap down the road. And, you know, at the end of the day, the bill comes due and he's going to have to pay it sometime. It's going to be sooner than later now in Dallas.
Yeah, in fantasy football, we call it the $1 players, the low dollar ballers. That is going to be the entire Miami roster, minus Malik Willis, who, of course, they did sign to a pretty, I think, a reasonable deal if he can play over the course of the next 3 years. Geno Smith going to the Jets, Justin Fields coming to the Chiefs. So the quarterback carousel continues. Hey, before we go, I was intrigued then when you mentioned you had an amazing story about the Colts owner. Fill us in on that before we wrap.
Well, you know, Jim Irsay came from a real tough situation. He had drug addiction problems. His father was a raging alcoholic when he owned the Baltimore Colts. But Jim admitted, and I've interviewed him a couple times and doing NFL football, and, you know, Jim admitted, I have demons. But Jim kept getting help. But at the end of the day, those receipts came due too. He lost his life fairly early just because of the drug addictions and all the other physical woes that he had. And obviously he died tragically in Beverly Hills this past year. And there's a big cloud cover about who was funneling him painkillers, and that led to his premature death. However, you talk to people in Indy, when I talk to people in Indy, people just praised who this guy was, and he came from a terribly dysfunctional family. And Jim Irsay, as he died, he was a rich man. Jim Irsay funded a lot of charities, funded Catholic hospitals in Indianapolis, just wrote checks. That's the kind of guy he was. They just auctioned off all of his memorabilia. He was a huge collector. They got $93 million in the memorabilia of everything Jim Irsay owned. He was a big rock and roll historian, from all that stuff to everything in the NFL, et cetera, that he had stockpiled over decades upon decades. In his will, all $93 million are going to charities in and around Indianapolis and central Indiana. That's a hell of a deal. I mean, that's just an absolute story beyond stories of a guy who lived a really troubled, drug-addicted life, but was very open and very honest about it. And he started foundations in central Indiana for those who were addicted to help them. A very unique, very individual man. I knew his father. His father was a terrible person. And I got to know Jim a little bit through doing NFL football. But boy, what he left, his legacy he left behind, Hustler, pretty impressive.
No, it is a great story. And I love that what his daughter's doing. He's getting right in the trenches with the team right now as they look to bounce back from that tough second half. So you have yourself a great weekend. Stay cool. Grab a popsicle. And we'll talk to you next week, maybe under more humane conditions down in San Diego.
Well, I don't use the air conditioning yet. It's hotter than hell outside, but my house is sealed off with windows and doors. It's pretty good. But I'll be glad to take up your offer. If you just give me the frosted glass and a couple 1919s, we'll kick back, and I'll watch a little March Madness here in the States.
Done deal, Saw. Thanks so much for doing this.
Have a great sports weekend. Oh, Canada Network, check my podcast. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Talk to you again, guys.
You bet. There it is, the man himself. Hacksaw 1090 as well on X if you want to give Lee a follow. Let's take a quick look at the Valspar today. Big tournament at Copperhead on the PGA Tour. David Lipsky, 6 under. He's in the lead. Sanjay Im, who was the leader yesterday, shooting -7, is even so far through his round. Oh, Doug Gim, the Gim Reaper, 4 under today. He's also at 7 under. Matty Fitzpatrick looking good. He's 5 under right now. Brent Snedeker, 5 under. And Canadian Corey Connors, that's who I was looking for. 3 under through 10. He is 3 shots off the lead. T6 right now at 5 under par. The favorite heading in was Xander Schauffele. Xander at 12 under. Get on out into the chat, !marbles. We will get to that coming up in just a minute. By the way, I do want to shout out our friends at Aikens Lake as they get ready for the upcoming fishing season, folks. If you haven't booked yet, get to aikenslake.com. They're about 80% more booked for the upcoming year. Cannot wait to get out there again. It's always the highlight of my summer. If you're looking for a world-class fly-in fishing experience unlike any other, where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot. aikenslake.com, world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from our friends, the Terrens. And by the way, if you are a university student looking to maybe spend the summer in paradise, I think they're still adding a couple more staff for the upcoming year, so you can go to aikenslake.com and find out more about employment opportunities for the summer as well. All right, let's get Remo back in here. Good stuff with Saw. I miss the WBC, but can you believe it, Reem? Like, the baseball season starts next week.
Yeah, I had one fantasy draft already. I got one on Monday, so it is just around the corner. I'll be on every day, and I am very excited. I guess Blue Jays starting up, MLB, gaining in popularity. The pitch clock, I think, bringing people back in. We have the ABS, strike zone, the challenge system. Curious how that's going to go. This can of worms, I think we'll get an early verdict on that. But some great players around the league on a couple great teams. And for the Blue Jays, trying to get back to where they were last year, the World Series Game 7. It's tough to even think about how that game was lost, how close that it was. Haven't really paid too much attention. There's actually some Blue Jays news today. Treya Savage, who was so great in the playoffs, in the World Series, he's going to miss some time to start the season. With a shoulder? He's beginning the season on IL with an impingement in his throwing shoulder.
I don't know what an impingement is, but they've been very, very careful with him. I mean, he just had this miracle season where he advanced all through the minors, all the way to the majors, and then was, pitching the biggest games of the year for Toronto. So he'll be around a little bit later on. All right, let's get to over to Coolbet and check out what's going on tonight in the National Hockey League. We have 5 games in the league. The Carolina Hurricanes are in Toronto to take on the Leafs. Auston Matthews had surgery, out for 12 weeks. He is done for the season. Canes minus 222, Leafs plus 185. The Devils are in D.C. to take on the Capitals. New Jersey plus 113, Caps minus 133. Avalanche are in Chicago to take on the Hawks. And now that all of a sudden these points are important for the Avs as they are just 2 ahead of Dallas. Colorado minus 333 favorite. Pick 'em between the Panthers and the Flames. It'd be so Panthers. They go in, they beat Edmonton 4-0 yesterday. Watch them take the foot off the gas tonight and the Flames win. I'm going Calgary, Washington, and Carolina tonight, plus 387 if you want to put those 3 games together. The other one, late one, the Mammoth smoked Vegas last night, scoring on their first 3 shots. They're at home tonight, minus 135 favorites against the Ducks at plus 115. And the line's already up for tomorrow's Jets-Penguins game. Jets to win, plus 135. Pittsburgh to win, minus 159. Sabres and Kings tomorrow. And then, Remo, 3 p.m., right after the Jets and Penguins are done, a potential playoff preview, Dallas and Minnesota from the Twin Cities. That one will be worth your time to watch.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Minnesota, they just came off 2 losses to Chicago.
Last night, 2-1 they lost.
And they lost earlier. They played them 2 in a row. Although Minnesota did sit Kaprizov. I don't know if they're resting up for this game. Again,
they're pretty much locked in third. So
yeah, they're locked in. So I don't know if it really matters. Like, Dallas can get first. But if you're Minnesota, like, wouldn't you want to lose to drop down to 4th and maybe go through the Pacific? Like, do you really care
I'm sure you would love to do that, but I mean,
they're too far ahead, I think, right?
Yeah, they're 12 points up on the Mammoth.
So maybe for them, I think that they can rest guys because they are locked in to third, and they'll play whoever. And so what? You lose and you finish fourth, and you get a better matchup? Oh no! So I guess it's a playoff preview. I'm curious what's going to happen with Minnesota, and I really hope they get a hard matchup and lose because Bill Guerin seems to be one of the few GMs that wants to speak up about this ridiculous playoff format and how they're getting screwed. And again, you are losing potential playoff money if you don't win in the first round because you get 90 points plus, and you play you finish third in the conference, and you play the team that finishes second. Well, this is stupid.
There is an argument just with how weird the standings are, with the Pacific being terrible, the Central being really good. The Utah Mammoth might be in the best spot of any team going into the playoffs. Locked in pretty much into the first wild card. They'll play either the Ducks, the Oilers, or Vegas. No one seems to want it in that division. And then a team like the Ottawa Senators is going to miss the playoffs likely with more points than every team in that division. It is wild. Yeah. But there are your hockey scores or odds for tonight over at Coolbet. March Madness is underway. Big games later on. Utah State and Villanova. Utah's a 1.5-point favorite. Tennessee minus 12.5 against Miami of Ohio. Iowa 1.5-point favorites at Clemson. Northern Iowa and St. John's, the Johnnies, minus 10.5 favorites. It goes right through. Last game tonight will be tipping off in and around 9:10 p.m. with Missouri and Miami, Florida. Miami, a minus 1.5-point favorite. Of course, NBA, Major League Baseball, spring training is all there. And we'll have to do a WST winners early next week with the boys over at Coolbet because MLB futures are out right now. Dodgers plus 225 to win the World Series. Yankees 10-1. Phillies 11-1. And then the Blue Jays and the Mets. Did not expect to see the Mets in that conversation. 12-1. Your Mariners at 14. Braves and Astros 16. Red Sox 18. And the Chicago Cubs 20-1. If you haven't played at Coolbet before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. Been quite the week, Reem, and interesting weekend coming up with the back-to-back early games, noon and 11, Saturday and Sunday for the Jets. I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is get into a marble race here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Yeah, super pumped. I'll have my evenings free. Maybe my kids can watch the games as well. Although, if they go anything like it went last night, maybe we won't want to watch the games, as they had that watch party in Gimli that was so well done. It was like a mini fan fest, and the Jets go and lose 6-1 at Boston. So we'll get a good look at Pittsburgh Rangers as well. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, and again, shout out to the Derminator and the gang over at Chud's Power Sports for their support and their hospitality yesterday. Speaking of which, it is the PWHL weekend here, and I should mention we're doing an impromptu extra Chud's Power Sports Power Poll with the top teams in the PWHL. Both teams that we'll see on the weekend are in it. The Ottawa Charge, 5th. 4th on the list is the Toronto Scepters, the other two Canadian teams that are chasing. And it was tough to figure out the top 3 because they're basically in a dead heat. But the Boston Fleet's 3. Montreal, who will be taking on Ottawa, is at 2 on the power poll. And defending champs tied for 1st, Minnesota Frost, number 1. So 2 of the top 5 teams in the PWHL going at it as well. And a special good luck to Liz, Kenzie, Sarah, and the entire gang down at Next Door for their event tomorrow night. And the Chuds gang is ready for spring, moving stuff around, moving the sleds, getting the boats, the bikes, and whatnot in fill you in on all that next week as Terminator and the guys get things turned around to get ready for spring and summer at Chud's Power Sports in Gimli, the corner of Highway 8 and 231. All right, it's marbles time on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Remo, let's get a little Tristan Rivers music to kick things off, and then we'll find out where the race will take place today on WST. Let's go.
It's Friday, another week of work's gone by. You deserve to treat yourself, maybe an ice cream kick or a bottle of rye. On the whole day, yeah, so lax you can't deny. Why use effort even for pleasure? Give blind luck a try. It's time to do a marble race. No skill separating best to worst. Marble race. Just type marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race. Don't spam or you will suffer. Oh, let's play marble race. Get to your mark before it's too late. Set, go.
All right, marbles time on Winnipeg Sports Talk. By the way, I just pulled up while we were listening to Tristan the seat map for the game, and it looks like this thing is entirely sold out. Now, there are a bunch of resale tickets available at Ticketmaster, but it's all pink. So, I mean, credit to Winnipeg again for showing up. This is an amazing, amazing turnout, and that atmosphere on Sunday should be absolutely phenomenal for the 6 p.m. puck drop between Montreal and Ottawa, Remo. You can really tell this event's going to be supported well, and I think the energy in the building is going to be really something to see.
Yeah, very, very excited to see the game here in Winnipeg, and there's people on our chat like Phyllis waiting to see, professional women's hockey here for a long time. So it's a bit of a celebration, a lot of excitement, some local talent as well in the lineup. Should be a very fun, sold-out night of PWHL. Awesome stuff.
That is going to be a great night. And Liz is going to come on Monday to wrap the game and the entire weekend. All right, where are we going today?
Yeah, first of all, I do have to give a shout out to Tristan. I played the Backstreet Boys version that was larger than life, sounds like, and he did play larger than life as the closer at his show last week, which I was at, and I thought for a second it was the Marble Race theme song, but no, it was actually larger than life. But before that, he did play the Sean Reynolds theme song, a snippet of Sean's headband. I heard it live in person. It was incredible.
You'll have to post it. Tristan and the gang will be hopefully doing more shows, rave reviews for 9 Lives and our pal Tristan Rivers Music. All right, what's the sitch?
Yeah, I bring up the trade. We got 209 marbles. I put UN in all caps. A lot of people want us to give a shout out to Chuck Norris, passed away today. The legend, Chuck Norris. Saddened to see that.
Most memorable moment of Chuck Norris's storied career?
Well, it was just the memes that came out about him being such a badass. I mean, I've never seen anything that he's acted in. Like I saw.
No, I'm getting it being the special guest enforcer in the Undertaker Yokozuna match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, there's all these highlights now of Chuck Norris. I've seen Chuck Norris on like Letterman in the early days, Chuck Norris at WrestleMania. Chuck Norris had a great cameo in the movie Dodgeball with Ben Stiller, and there was a story about how Ben Stiller begged him. But yes, the video that keeps coming up on my timeline is Chuck Norris as the special enforcer in a casket match between Yokozuna and The Undertaker, and he karate kicked Double J Jeff Jarrett. So there's a lot of good videos coming out, but sad to see that about Chuck Norris, the legend.
All right, fire it up if you can. I see the Derminator's in the chat. Today's the day I'm winning. He had the indignity of having one of the other people at Chuds that he got into it win in one of the more bizarre fashions that we've got. Oh, Big Maple coming in with us. We got a couple for the edge. Louis Sutherland, money line plus 205. And I'm playing the KO plus 240 in round 2. Great promo at CoolBet with a $25 free bet. Count me in on Louis Sutherland at plus 205, Big Maple. Thank you very much for popping that in. And yeah, shout out to the Bison women's hockey team as well. They had a crazy season. Started off very poorly and then just took off and made it all the way to nationals. But it's about the PWHL. Jocelyn LaRock, Katie Tabin, local players playing in the game coming up on the weekend.
Putting the marbles in. We got two. I put you in, so we got 210 marbles in the marble race.
Thank you.
209. My bad. And I picked a decent track. I tested it out. It was called Egregious Festive Cafe. I thought it was pretty good.
I'm here for it.
I didn't think it was like the super, like people want a track that never ends. That doesn't exist. So this one was decent length. I thought it was
have
pretty
a winner.
good.
We gotta have a winner at some point. There's Matty Fitzpatrick looking up pretty good. Willie Zalatoris, who everyone knows is the caddy from Happy Gilmore 2. And yes, a lot of great Chuck Norris, Tristan Rivers. If Chuck Norris is in today's marble race, then we will all be Oleg. And yes, some of the ESTers are in right now. Big Uke, Tango. Still waiting for the elusive first win for our friends out west. All right, let's do this.
Okay, let me pack it up. Yes, everyone in our chat are typing these Chuck Norris memes, and they don't get old.
No, it's true.
Here we are. So yes, here's the egregious festive cafe.
All right, shoot into a big funnel. I like these starts. All right, without further ado, good luck to everyone. Let's drop the marbles on WST and kick off the weekend. Massive funnel. And then people are going to go one of two routes. Not sure whether it's... it looks like it's pretty even. I don't think whether there's one better way to go than the other. I like this background. It looks like it's like outside in a city.
It looks cool, this one. I don't know. This was the first one I tested, and I thought it was pretty good.
All right. Trevor Thickett, first in. The Murder Birds right there. Oh! Winnipeg High School Hockey League champion Luka Rabchak in the mix as well. Luka, congratulations to you and the Trojans. Your brother Connor, very pumped for you and the fellas getting one back on Oak Park. Two amazing programs. One won the cities, one won the provincials. Very, very cool. There's Luka. Wouldn't that be something if he won? Oh, and he's in first place right now. That would be something. Now, No Frills Demo got the nice bump, a boost there. We thought he was going to be out, but he wasn't. Can Luka track him down? He's coming with speed right now. No Frills Demo, Connor's little brother, coming off their high school hockey championship. Oh, No Frills Demo just got blown up.
Oh, no.
Okay, here we go. This is Cigars for Everyone just got bumped up. You know, Luka, that might have been your lucky day with No Frills Demo jumping on that grenade for you. Who do we got here? We got Luka. We got Russ Lowen in the mix right now. Who's this one?
Sega Saramaga.
Sega Saramaga. Mix. No one really getting in right now.
Oh, big change.
All right. Now a big change. A huge. This has been a neat track. You're not done until you're done. All right. There's Russ. Joanne Boutte, I believe.
Yes.
coming up right now. So Joanne and Russ and now a whole bunch of others now ripping into it. The real Spency.
Here, this is it, Huss. This is
Patriot.
it.
All right, who's it going to be? Oh, Joanne gets Russ at the buzzer. Oh, man, remember that track. That was a great track.
Oh, there was a lot of
Awesome race. Awesome race. So Joanne gets the win. Russ Lowen in second by an absolute hangnail. Spency in third. Jesse P33. I think that might be Pelch, the former TSN caller, Jesse the pizza delivery guy. Gordon Cummings in 5. Pat Rat 12 is 6th. Herb Sturman 7. Mark Hack 8. No Frills Dino ended up coming back quite well after getting that grenade. And then Mrs. J. Jones. See the last few coming through. There's Larry, Schnitzy, Kibbins. Here's Donnie Boy, Cruiser, and Murray. Joanne Boutte. Congratulations, Joanne. Great work. Great work. All right, let's roll down and see where everybody else finished. You can all see where you ended up. Jerry Beluda. What's up, Jerry? Saw Jerry at the game the other day. Schickster's brother, Ray OG. There's Duck Dad. Nice performance by Duck Dad. 26 for Huss. Yes. 1 ahead of the Derminator. Got you by 1, Dermot. We'll have another chance to do it next week. There's Wayne Bretsky, Candace, Luka Rabchak. Luka finished 40th. Tough run at the end. Yes, everyone's saying great track. Timo just got knocked back. Big Maple, not bad. Dr. Terry, what's up to the great people of the St. Patel Dental Center? T. Mikulak, there's WST Maddie, Matt Hyman. What else? Boring Sean Monahan, Yakman, VR Montenegro, another ESTer. There's MC Stormy, Rob Mahoney. What else is in? There's Will Sutton. Will, we had Cash on earlier this week. Can't wait for Gold Eye season. Bingo bango. There's Donnie Boy and Kibbins in just over the ledge. And then, of course, everyone else that got bounced. What's up for the weekend for you, Reem?
Got my son's last weekend of hockey, so that's exciting. We're doing that, and
Ooh.
I'm playing tonight as well. Excited to get back on. I'm not sure. Probably work on some stuff for this. I don't know. I don't have any plans.
Yeah, I'm
gotta get my spreadsheets ready for my fantasy baseball draft.
With the early game tomorrow, I'm going to probably try and curtail my Friday night activities. And I've also been strong-armed into appearing on a legal curve tomorrow morning. As he texted me, I didn't get back to him right away, and he goes, Huss, are you in or are you in the way?
He wrote that?
That's what he wrote. So I said, okay, fine, I'm in. I was trying to negotiate for a later time slot on the show, but yes, I've committed to 9:30 a.m. So I'll be on with the boys tomorrow. Get ready for that Pittsburgh game and the rest of the weekend.
You're up at 9:30 a.m.
I mean, alarms are set. Let's just say that. That would not probably be a natural, normal Saturday for me. But as I say, I'll do that. Maybe hit Sal's. Good start to the day and the weekend. And then the game's coming up at
noon.
At noon. There's Big Daddy Ginsburg in the chat.
Who? I don't know if you saw this comment from Russ. He goes, that was so hilarious. I'm not even bitter. Longtime listener, Russ Lowen, who just got passed right before the finish line in the marble race. That
was a hell of a race. I love that track. I mean, no one was safe. We had tons of lead changes. It came right down to the end. So it was overall a good one. All right, well, I'm going to go watch a little golf and some March Madness. And look forward to joining the IC boys tomorrow morning. So make sure to check that out. And don't forget, WST Sunday Live, 9 a.m. It'll basically operate as a pregame show because the puck drops at 11 a.m. So Connor and Liz will be on. I'm sure Liz will be all fired up for the game. And again, good luck to her and everyone involved at the sold-out event at Next Door. before the PWHL. I know Annie Chipman, Kenzie Lalonde, who joined us, and Sarah Oleski, all part of the panel. Should be a great, great event. And an awesome night at Canada Life Center and a sold-out game for the PWHL Takeover Tour. Thanks to Hacksaw, Ken Wiebe, Kenzie, and of course Nic Demski, who joined us, and all of you for hanging out today. Folks, have yourself a great weekend. Join the gang for WST Sunday Live on Sunday, and make sure you're back with us, recapping the weekend and looking ahead to Vegas and Colorado here to take on the Jets next week. We'll be live Monday at 1 to kick off another week of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a great one, everyone.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.